So if you ain't loving it, you got a problem. You need to love it. You need to love it enough to put it out there and not be like, all right, everybody else good, because it's always going to be a variety show when it comes to them. What's up, guys? It's your girl Phoenix Novell, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Right Hustle. In this episode, I discuss why I started making beats. I started off writing poetry that turned into raps, and then from the raps they became. I remember when I first learned about Christianity, I watched Sister Act and that was my first introduction to the gospel choir. So all of a sudden I was intrigued because that music was moving me, it was touching me. It wasn't even that much about what they were talking about. It was just the fact that they were coming together in such with such beautiful voices in such a powerful way, and I wanted to be a part of it. So after a while I turned my raps and my poems into poems and raps about God. And so I started to write songs and change all my song lyrics to songs about God. And I remember I met this producer named Zukhan, who created We Fly High Ballin' for Dipset or Jim Jones, I believe. He also did Pussy Poppin' on the Handstand, I think, for Ludacris, if I'm not mistaken. But Zukhan was like a big brother to me. You know, we aren't as close as we were when I was younger, but this was my first introduction really into the world of beat making and production. I was just obsessed with the fact that he could actually create music, because, not to downplay it, it's just I was kind of over here with my songs and my lyrics or whatever, that I would sometimes even make or create to other people's tracks. Like, I think I was really into like Mary J. Blige or whatever. So the intro, if there was an intro of the song before she started singing, or an outro, I would, ad lib on top of that. Same thing with Mariah Carey. So that was the way that I was able to sometimes piggyback off of them and come up with ideas or whatever. But to see him create on the fly drums, he had a keyboard too, where he didn't know how to play like that, like proficiently, but he would find a way to make some great sounding licks. He would also bring in, work for hire instrumentalists or whatever to come and add this or this instrument on his stuff. And he was just I felt like he was just so self-contained, and I wanted it. He had an MPC 2000 XL, and it was cream with gray buttons, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. But I wanted one. I wanted it. That was his beat machine. He carried it around everywhere. He was always programming sounds. He had a floppy zip drive in it, and I was just impressed. And he lived in a loft, and we was in Germantown. He lived in a loft studio where he had a little place where he can climb up the stairs to sleep or whatever, but all the downstairs area, it was just open space where he had his little studio and he had a little booth. And I was intrigued because I wanted to learn how to put my own beats together behind my own songs. At some point in time, I was intrigued and infatuated with the idea of doing that. It's not right away from there I didn't start making beats, but that was my introduction to somebody doing this by themselves without actually knowing how to play any instruments proficiently. And he was young too. I think he was in his 20s. I was like 15, 16. It was really weird. Like very, it wasn't weird, but I was very young, but I already knew I want to be an artist, period, point blank. And so I started working with him, writing to his tracks. He had an idea at one point in time to make a girl group, and so we all recording and in the studio, and just basically just trying to do our thing and get on and build something. And some years went past. And it was Zukhan who introduced me to Latif. Superstar artist, amazing songwriter, amazing performer. He had an album, I think it was called Love in the First. Just brilliant. And so I was able to sing backup for Latif, and I was able to be around all these real, instrumentalists who played, drummers, guitar player, bass player, background singers, choreographer. And I was just like, okay, to actually see all of these elements come together, and then here's Zukhan doing it on the drum machine by himself. I was in La La Land, Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I loved that atmosphere. So as I got older, was around them, I was able to really see behind the scenes of how you actually put music and the lyrics together and construct an actual song. I started to collaborate with other producers, and in collaborating with these other producers, I was able to actually connect with them. And in connecting with them, I started to get tracks from just random producers. Like, all right, well, see if you can write something to this. And so I was working with producers who were also like signed or under the production of Mama's Boys back in Philly, who made a big name for themselves. And I would write to their tracks or whatever, but the issue was that they would give their tracks to so many different people. And so in doing that, the market was oversaturated, and there was so much competition to make, to give them whatever they wanted to use. And then if they didn't like it, they didn't use it, you were stuck with this idea that you created without a track now. So now I got this song that I think is great, I think is a hit, but now I got to figure out how to put some music to it so that I don't just lose it. And that was when I started to get the motivation to learn how to create beats for myself. That was when it actually really started to intrigue me, because I'm like, you know what, there's got to be another way. And it was not allowed. I wound up with so many songs stacking up that I had written to all these people's beats and tracks that maybe they loved it, but they already sold the track, or maybe they didn't like it or whatever, and they wanted me to tweak this or tweak that, but then somebody else liked it, and then they liked what they did, and now you over here with all these tweaks, and there's nothing going towards it. And I always felt funny, because I'm just like, you know what, I feel weird taking what I created to your track and your creation, which inspired me, and putting it on something that somebody else made, or even taking it and creating something around it myself, because I felt like you should get a part of that. So there were so many songs I lost out on, and it's just who I am, that I lost out on because of integrity. I didn't want to be like, but at the same time, what do you do with these great ideas? And so I actually decided, I want to really get into this. And there was this program called Cakewalk that somehow I got my hands on. And you can make beats on, like, it was a program. It was, I don't know, I can't remember, wow, so long ago, but it was a program where it was kind of simple to use, where I was actually learning how to make beats. At the time, I didn't have no Apple computer, so there was no GarageBand in my, at the moment, whatever. But I first started to learn on some software program that was really simple and easy, to use, and it was great, because I'm like, oh my God, I was so impressed with myself about the little things that I did. But it was in actually learning how to do that made me go out and want to buy my first MPC. My first MPC cost me, I want to say $1,700. Okay, so roughly $16.99 or whatever. But I put that bitch on layaway, and I was paying $200 every paycheck or every other paycheck or whatever until it was mine. It was blue. It was gorgeous. And it's actually I'm actually carrying it in my very first music video sponsored me, with my big afro, and I got it like this right on my shoulder, and it was an MPC 2000 XL royal blue with gray buttons, and I loved her. I was so proud of her. And I didn't know how to use her. She took zip drives or zip disk, and it was my friend, who's also an engineer, Bill, who helped me learn how to load sounds on it, because there was a lot of tech stuff going on that I just wanted to make sounds, make music. he also taught me how to set up my system to record myself vocally, and set me up the first time, I think, with Pro Tools. So that was my introduction into really learning how to make my own beats. I did not know where he got them. Bill preloaded those sounds on that zip drive for me, so I don't even know where he got those sounds and samples from. But they were obviously from other places. But that's what I was able to use to make some of my first tracks, to put some of my first songs together with my actual vocals and lyrics, and provide my own accompaniment. And I was frustrated. It was frustration that led me to not want to be so dependent on other people, on producers saying, no, I don't like it, change this, do this differently, no, maybe. And it just got to a point where it's not that they were wrong, it's just that I got tired of hearing it, and they kept telling me that the sounds I was using when I started making beats, one of the big things that I kept hearing was that the sounds I was using was so dated. I didn't give a damn. I didn't care at all. For me, I was like, what I want more than anything is to showcase that I can provide my own accompaniment, and that's what the hell I did. That was more important to me than anything. And I feel like now, really digging in there and making those beats and taking the time to really put the right instruments together is so much more apparent, because I am making the track just as important as what's being laid on top of it, and it brings me joy. It takes a lot of time. That's one thing. Like, it takes more time than I want to take, but I know what's in my head, and I remember the frustration that I felt with those other producers, and trying to get them to see what I saw, or trying to get them to understand why they should change their track around a little bit for me so that I could show them what I can do. It just got so frustrating. It got so frustrating, and I just got tired. I got tired of being reliant on anybody to do something. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't perform or record on other people's tracks, because I do. I love that. I love collaborating, without a doubt. But I am not at all going to be stagnant, while waiting to find the perfect track for myself. It's just I'm the kind of person that looks for ways that I can make something happen for me, And so that's how I got started into the world of making my own beats and actually putting together my accompaniment. And it was a journey. Like, it was a journey of me actually learning, not only learning how to put the sounds together, but learning how to mix as well. Because I assumed, don't ask me why, but I assumed that the mix was where magic came together, and that once you just lay it all down, the post-production engineer was going to come in and no. I learned the hard way. That mix is not 80%. It's in the initial recording. It's how you lay those vocals. It's how you lay those sounds. It's the leveling that you're recording them sounds in. It's what you give them. It's like saying that I'm going to put these ingredients together, and when I put them in the damn oven to bake, it's going to just magically taste good. No, it's going to taste like a done version of a done version of what the hell you put in there. Meaning it's cooked, but if it tastes like shit, it tastes like shit. And that's what I think I struggle with the most. I didn't understand that it was just as important, or even more important, how you put those sounds together, how you lay those vocals, what instruments you're using together. Make sure the keys are right, make sure the drums is hitting right, make sure everything is leveled and playing together well. And I still hear sometimes to this day, those sounds is this, or maybe you should do this or bring this up. And I'm like, I realize how up for interpretation those things were, because your favorite song could be somebody's most hated song. Your favorite drop could be somebody's most despised drop. Your favorite idea somebody else did not like or could not stand. And I realized that as I was creating, and I got so many different opinions from so many different people about what they thought about the same exact song or verse or chorus or tracks or bridge or instruments. And I'm like, damn, this is relative. So if you ain't loving it, you got a problem. You need to love it. You need to love it enough to put it out there and not be like, all right, everybody else good, because that's always going to be, it's always going to be a variety show when it comes to them. And I enjoy making beats. I do enjoy making beats. Now I'm doing it not just for me, but I'm making beats for other artists as well. Selling beats as well. And it makes me feel good because I can step aside from what I would normally want to hear myself do or do myself and think outside my comfort zone. I don't know why, I like stuff that kind of sounds like a orchestra or the theme, the theme music to a trailer. I don't know why I like stuff happening musically in a track that's big. I'm not a simple kind of person where I just like little simple sounds, but I have tracks that are simple sounds too. So I like the diversity. I like the fact that I'm constantly seeing myself grow and grow, and to be more learning more in the process of creating music. So thank you guys for tuning into this episode of The Right Hustle, and make sure you stay tuned for the next one. Peace out.